Zeu shekosuv. This is the meaning of the pasuk. Ki kaarets tוציא צמחה v'chagina zru'eho tatzmiach. So you see, there's two parts over here. One part is ki kaarets tוציא צמחה. That is talking about the earth produces its growth even when you don't sow it. And then, like a garden who sprouts what you sow it, that is through sowing it. Alter Rebbe explains that in the avodah of the mitzvahs, there's two types of growings. There's first the mitzvah itself, and then you have the kavonas mitzvah, the intention of the mitzvah. So that's why it's a losha rabim v'chagino zru'eho, meaning the sowing that you sow, the double sowing that consists over there in the ground. So one of them is the mitzvah itself. Then you have the kavona for the mitzvah, the birchas mitzvah. That's chagina zru'eho tatzmiach. That before that he spoke about in the moshul, that the kernel has really ein aroich to what grows the beautiful tree. Same thing is the mitzvahs that we do, even though it's a physical mitzvah, even though it's a kavanah, it gets you a very, very high madrega, like a level of tzmicha. That's the meaning. Chagina zru'eho tatzmiach. The kā'eretz tוציא צמחה is talking about even when you do mitzvahs without any kavanah, you just do it out of rote that you're used to, it still produces because of the Avim Mesuteres. Let's look inside. Zeu shechosuv ki kā'eretz tוציא צמחה v'chagina zru'eho tatzmiach she'atzmicha hi l'maylo memehus hazera hazarua bo. That the growth is much higher than the essence of the seed that you sown in the ground, because it brings down so much more and so much a higher level. And the same thing is over here by the mitzvahs, the hamshochas ha'or that you bring about through planting the mitzvahs in this world is much higher. It says in a plural, ziru'eho, loshen rabim, ha'inyan. This pasuk zru'eho tatzmiach that we're talking about, this is the follow-up of the pasuk of the haftorah that we're talking. Kā'eretz tzimcha v'chagina zru'eho tatzmiach, and he's going to also bring out the rest of the pasuk over there as it relates to the idea of the mitzvah. That's what he's talking about here. So, what is this? The Ruah Losha Rabbi Mo'inyan Kiyesh Beis Min Izriyas. There's two kinds of sowing. Achas is Echad Zriyas Gufa Shamaisa Mitzvahs. One of them is the sowing of the actual mitzvah. So, from the act of mitzvah, where is the growth? That's in the lower level of Gan Eden. That usually would be the level of Yitzira, which is the place of Gan Eden Atach. By Mashikos Minyan Gan Eden Atach na posik ba'ato yigdal no ba'al posik ba'daber chulu b'midbar Sinai. So that's the level in which you are growth, that you are planting in this world that grows in the world of Gan Eden. That's a more spiritual sowing. That is the kavonas hamitzvos. Ki kol hamitzvos tzrichas kavona. For all the mitzvah need kavona. So when you do the mitzvah, you have to have intention that you're doing the mitzvah. Where do you have it? So the mitzvah is done physically, the gashmis. Kavonas hamitzvah is done in your mind. It's done in your heart. The kavona is in the heart and in the moich. That's a more refined level than the actual act of the mitzvah. What is the kavona? What is the intention of the mitzvah? Is to connect to Hashem, blessed, through the act of this mitzvah. And the mitzvah loisa said, same thing by mitzvah loisa said. By mitzvah say is through kavana of doing the mitzvah connecting to Hashem. What is the kavana in a loisa say? B'chinas hakavana, what is the level of the kavana who shaloi li yis nifred al yidei zem yichudu v'achdusei yizborech, that not to be separated from his unity. So when you're not doing an avera, you're having in mind, I'm not violating because I don't want to be separated from Hashem. Like the pasuk says, meaning if you follow your eyes and your heart for improper thoughts and seeing things, you're not allowed, then you become like you're violating the Torah, you become like a zoina. What is a zoina? A zoina is a zoina shasura lebaila. Just like a harlot who is prohibited, if she had extramarital relationship, then she's prohibited to her husband. If we follow our hearts and our eyes, we become sort of prohibited to Hashem. We become separated. You can no longer receive from the level of the Supreme Kodesh. So therefore, you don't want to be different. So what is your kavanah? I'm not going to do the loisa says so that I do not separate myself from Hashem, which would separate me if I did violate, because that makes me like Hazayna, which is asur, cannot be received from the Kodesh Elyon. So that's the thought of the kavanah. So what happens with the kavanah mitzvahs? In the kavanah mitzvahs nimtzach v'nitzmach ha'od b'gan eden ha'elyon. In the Gan Elyon, that would be already in the level of bria. That would be level. Zahu v'chagino zru'eho tatzmiach. It says a plural. Chagino tatzmiach. Zara loy nemar. Zru elo zru eho is a plural. I know basically is now this talk about the two sowings, the mitzvah and the kavonas mitzvah. V'ayin b'sefer shebenim perik lamed ches. In a pirush ka'aretz toisi tzimcha. What's the first part? So that's zru eho. What is the meaning? Like the earth toisi tzimcha. Hainu madregi gimel. This is a third level. That is the growth that it grows without sowing it all. It's like grass that go up on their own, they grow on their own. And also, like you have in the forest, you have these apples that are in the trees of the forest. They are growing and they are sprouting without sowing. They do on their own. However, the fruits that come through being sown and planted are much more better. They're much more quality wise, a lot than those that come up on their own. So we understand from this the example, the that this third level had an Indian that's the act of the actual mitzvahs. The mitzvah is an action that we do without any intent to connect to Hashem blessing. Similar to what the pasuk says. That the fear that they fear me is a rote. It's like a mitzvah that people are trying to just do it. Why is that represented by growing by self? It's as if there's no sowing at all. There's no work over there. It just does it. When you do work for the Ma'aseh mitzvah, that's called Zurueha. But those mitzvahs that you just do it because you're comfortable, you're used to doing it, that's like growing by itself. You're not investing. You're not sowing it. It's just growing itself. So even if we're talking about a case where things grow by themselves, Karetz, Totzie, Tzimcha, still, Ava became still, Karetz, Totzie, Tzimcha, the earth does produce the Tzimcha, Ayidei Ava Musuteres, Sheyesh Biyodim, through the hidden love that the person has. Avshi Musuteres Legamri. Even though it's totally hidden. Kivan since he has not taken out that love from the hidden state to the revealed state to have in mind to connect to Hashem, he didn't reveal it. He doesn't openly, he doesn't love Hashem. He's not doing it out of love Hashem. But there is that love in Hashem is happening. Since, nevertheless, he still has this hidden love, so the earth would produce the love. And still, it's not the same at all as the garden that you sown it. Those are the mitzvahs done with kavanah. I'm bezoyar truma the kuf samach vav omed beis al posik v'chagina zruel ba'al posik eirus arua chulu. I'm mashakosuv ze beparshas vayikra shal pasik vaylakit Yosef chulu b'shir hashirim al posik shimem lochim. I'm besefer chasidim simen shin chopala. So Mashin is barely ill. This is what it was explained in mitzvahs over lasi yoson, that the blessing of the mitzvahs go beyond over before the asiyos. So over there we said shebichdei liyos isaru so delatato shel ma'isa mitzvahs ma'orer ze gilu isaru so deleilo, in order that the ma'isa mitzvahs should arouse the revelation of the Yeshurus Leila. That's why we have the bracha. Baruch Ato Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam. Pirush K'mashakos B'Zeir Chelik Aleph. So we need to have the bracha in order to be mamshich versus the Karetz Tatzmiach, which doesn't come. But to get the higher level, you need the bracha. You need the Kavanas HaMitzvah. This brings you to the highest level. It says in the Zohar Chelik Aleph, Daf Kuf Chav Beis Amud Aleph, Al Posik Melach L'Soda Nevad. So over there it says in the Zohar, Man Melach L'Soda Nevad. You bring the king down to the field that has been worked. In other words, when you do the mitzvahs, you work the field through the mitzvahs. You bring the king down to the Soda. Man Melech, who's the king? Dokut Shabrichu. This Chaber L'Soda. That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu who connects to the field. When Kad Ihu Nevad. Nevad, when he is served, when it's worked. When you work the field, that's when the Dokut Shabrichu is L'Soda, is Melech L'Soda. Man Soda. Who is the field that we're saying? The Soda Asher Beirache Hashem. What kind of a field? It's a Soda that has been blessed by Hashem, meaning that you make the bracha. If you make the bracha, that's to bring down the Hamshochim from the Melech into the field. Pirush Asher Beirache Hashem. That's the idea of the blessing that we do in the mitzvahs. That is a high draws down from very, very high. There should be the revelation of the power of growth that is in the Eretz Elyona, in the upper land of the Eretz. That's the Soda above. That's Miyach Yeshua, is to sprout this salvation. Ayidei Maisa mitzvahs, through the action by the increase of the oil. The mitzvahs down here through the Birchas HaMitzvahs, they bring out the revelation of the Tzemeach in the Oretz Elyoina, and that sprouts great Hamshachas in this world. Meshukosov Makomachar Al Posik Yevrecha Hashem, the Parshas Nosei Ein Shom. Gimel. One does. So the pasuk says like this: "Kikaoretz toitzi tzimcha b'chagina zeruel tatzmiach." Cain. The pasuk continues. Cain, likewise, Hashem Elikim yatzmiach tzedakah u'tehila. So likewise, Hashem Elikim sprouts charity and praise. That is referencing the time of Yom Kippur. Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur says Shuvah. Just like all year round is Kigona to Tzimcha. So over here it's hello. Yeah, I'm in the middle of learning. V'hinei kikaoretz toitzi tzimcha v'chagina z're'el tatzmicha haynu b'chinas hatzmicha shemaisa mitzvah makavonas hamitzvahs hanimshach b'chol hashana. That's all year round. Yisrael misaglim Torah mitzvahs, when the Yidden are doing school of doing the Torah mitzvahs. The pasuk says, Cain, likewise, but only Hashem Adnai Hashem Yatzmiach Tzedakah U'Tehila will bring tzedakah. V'hu Hatzmicha V'Hagilu Ha'or Shalamaylo. That is the growth in revelation of oil above on the Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and Aseret Yemei Tshuva. Mashkos Bezer Teruma Kufay Zayin Aleph. The high zimna that at that time Hashem Elikim Ato Hachiloiso Chulu. That time we have Hashem Elikim Shabei Shemus Elu, these two names of Adnai Havaya Mizgalin B'Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. They revealed Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. Adnai Hashem Yatzmiach. V'hainu liyos yatzmiach tzedakah tehila, so that he will sprout the tzedakah tehila through the two names of Adnai Havai. What does this mean? First, to understand what is the idea of Baal Tshuva. Before we were talking all about Maisa mitzvahs, and we're talking about Kavonos mitzvahs, we're talking about a person the straight way doing the mitzvahs the way he should. But what happens in Nekol Analik Shodom Usor Mira, he stays away from evil and he does good. Sha'ozu Inyan Hazriya, that is when there is the idea of sowing. Zareya Tzedakah Shchulu, you plant the tzedakah, Matzmiach Yeshuas, then you grow all items. So when you say tzedakah, all mitzvahs of the Torah are called like tzedakah. It will be a tzedakah to us that we keep all the mitzvahs. All the mitzvahs are tzedakah. So basically, Zereya tzedakah's mitzvahs are level of tzedakah. I'm a shekosm the parsha b'shalach v'divra maschel oshira. Shehein b'chinas riyas. They all the mitzvahs are in the level of sowing. Liyas ayidei zeh matzmiach yeshuas. That way you will sprout salvation. So, a mitzvah say is easy to understand that it's a zereya you're doing. It's an act of sowing. What about a loisa say? That's also sowing. He says, "V'chein gam ki mitzvahs loisa say." Because also when you observe and you don't do a prohibition, that's also called zereya. Meshikosu be'eretz loy zerua. In a land where loy means not. Poshet, it means Leizru, not sown. But he wants to say also from the loy, from the prohibition, you're also sowing. Shemchinas haloi, the level of loy, the hainu. The fact that you're sitting and you're not doing an aveda, that's how you observe the loy sasa. That's also sowing in the Eretz Al Yoina, just like when you do the mitzvah. If a person, God forbid, sins and he negates doing a positive mitzvah, then he's called choyte. Choyte means not only sinner in the literal word, it's a lacking. Choyte means you're missing out. There is not missing, you're missing out the level of zriya we mentioned earlier. Koshke, and for sure, when you violate a prohibition. Shenikra ovein, that when you do a loisase, that is called ovein. Ovein comes from the lashon hevo darke. He made his way crooked. He crooked his way. Shuhu inyan ives b'derech akalosi. That's a way of crookedness in a crooked way, which means shemamshich yinikol lechitzonim. He brings down, he extends nurturing to the chitzonim. The pasuk says, "Hapoishim bi." So that means the gufa the malka. That's the body of the king by being mamshich. The other side. And on this you say, you find him in a desert. What is a desert? It's a place where it's not sown. That means it's lacking. There's no growing over there. The pasuk says, that it's not sown and it doesn't grow. And there's no grass there. Midbar b'dibra maschal niledoy b'dibra maschal kanashiyar. I'll call there. So what do we do about this? Kanesher yoir kinoy chulu. Just like the eagle wakes up his nest, we still can sort of fix it up by the level of tshuva. We can still fix it all up by the level of tshuva. That's what's the connection to Yom Kippur. Okay. So the Hainu Kikan Lozeh Yesh Eitza. Also for this there is a advice. Is Galus Yugimul B'Dusarachamim, by the revelation of the third attributes of His mercy. Ayidei Bechinas Tshuva, through the level of tshuva. Befrat, especially by Seres Yemei Tshuva, She'ikar Azman LeKabolas HaShovim. That is the main time when the Eibishter returns, accepts those who return to him. Like it says, Girsha Shabim Motzibum. That's the most opportune time, because that's through the Yud Mizrach. Hinei Baseres Yemei Tshuva, whose man is Galus Yudis Mizrach. That's the time that the 13 attributes of mercy are revealed. Vayaver Hashem al Pona Vayikra. So Hashem, Vayaver Hashem al Pona Vayikra. Pirush Vayaver. What does it mean Vayaver? Shenimshach mitzad atzmai. Vayaver means he went over, meaning it's on its own. Bechinas isaruso dil eilo levad. That is just Hashem isaruso levad. That's the difference between Aseres Yemei Tshuva and the rest of the year. And that time, why is it called B'Motzei? Why is it easy? Why is it Zman Kabbalas HaShovim? Because then Hashem on his own Vayikra. B'chol Hashanah, all year round. The revelation of the light comes through the Razzle Blow. Shal Yidei You have to come milamato in order to be able to this level. But it says over there it's Vayaver. This Jerusalem Leila comes in its own. Vahainu Vayaver Hashem Alpono. Hashem go Vayaver Hashem Alpono. That comes with Sadat. So what is it? Vayikra Hashem Hashem Erech Hapayim. What means Erech Hapayim? Erech Hapayim means to prolong the anger, but here Erech means make it long. Long means to be mamshich. Arichu de anpin. Long, belonging the face. Shemis adech v'nimshech lemato. That it is long and it extends below gam ad mokem havonos v'apshoim. Till the place where there is the sins and the rebellion. Liyos noisei oven. So the Eibusha should carry the sin, which means that lemalois hapagomim kol hapagomim, to fill all the blemishes. Chol ha'chesroines shenasu b'amshochas oira kodesh aliyim. So we have to fill the blemishes and all of the lackings that were made that we didn't bring down the kodesh aliyim when bibitl mitzvahs asay mitzvahs loises achulu, when we didn't do the positive loises. So then it comes the time of Erech Hapayim that is mamshechid to fill all of them. The Pasuk says, Lifnei Havaya Titohoru. That before Hashem, in other words, you bring it up to the higher level, and then everything is purified. Kikol ha-mitzvahs nikroyim mitzvahs Hashem. All the mitzvahs are called mitzvahs Hashem. So that's regular the mitzvah. Achal yom kippurim, but in Yom Kippur nemar v'likedosh Hashem b'chubed. That's not mitzvahs Hashem. That's kedosh Hashem b'chubed. Koloymar shu b'chinas kodesh umuvdal umerumam the mailam b'chinas Hashem Shem Havaya. That is higher than Shem Havaya. And that's why we say lifnei Havaya. So inyan lifnei Havaya. This is lifnei Havaya. To bring upon the noise oven in the level of a higher Havaya. Explaining what this is. In the Yuvam Bahagdim Inyan, say we're first introducing the idea of Amelech HaKodesh, she'emrim b'aseres mitzvah, that we say in aseres mitzvah. Hine yedua b'shoirish inyan Rosh Hashanah. What is the idea? What is Rosh Hashanah? In the root of it, Rosh Hashanah is Inyan binas malchus yisbarech. That is building Hashem's measure of malchus. Mamer Hazal, a sage of blessed memory, tell us, Amru imru lefone malchios kidei shetamchuni alechem. Say before me the psukim of the malchios, so make me a king. So the Eibush, so we're building the Hashem's kingdom. Atam shezo b'Rosh Hashanah davke. Why is it on the Rosh Hashanah davke? Uki b'chov hei be'elul nivra ha'olam. And the world was created on the 25th of Yom HaShish, the Ma'aseh Bereshis, Nivra Adam HaRishon. That's when Adam Rishon was born. Rosh Hashanah. That is Rosh Hashanah. Hine, the Yom B'roi Adam HaRishon, when Adam HaRishon was created, then is Hoya Ascholos Gilus Midas Malchusis Barak. That was the beginning of the revelation of Hashem's measure of kingdom. Kiloi Shayich B'chinas Malucha, Nak Al B'chinas Odom. You can only have a kingdom on the level of a human. Because Sha'odom Mekabel Oil Malchusei. A person accepts the yoke of his kingdom. Mamer Umalchusei Berotzen Kiblu Aleya. That they accepted his kingdom. So that applies to human beings, they can accept Hashem's kingdom. As opposed to those animals and the tame and wild animals that preceded, that came before Adam Rishon was born. Over there is lo shayich klal b'chinas loshen melucha. Can't be a king of them. But Omar Adam Rishon, so then Adam Rishon said at the time that he was created, Hashir Shel Yom Vov, who, what did he say then? The song that we do on Friday. Hashem Malach Geus Lovish. Hashem King Geus Lovish. Boy Nimshach Liyas B'chinas Melech, because in him it extended to be a Melech. In his Labesh B'levus Malchus, and he dressed up in that garment of Malchus. So that is Hashem Malach. That started when Adam Rishon was born. Every year, which everything goes back to its origination, to its beginning. That is when we bring down the level of Malchus from its source. Just as it was in the beginning of the creation of the world. That is the inyan masha'Allah. This that it enters Hashem's earliest machshava. No emlich, I'm going to be the king. So you bring that down again, mamshich that again. That is the level of desire that entered in the early Sha'at V'Zamaitzel, the Yezbechinas Melech, to become a Melech Alam Nifrat, on a people, on a nation which is separate. Rotzin Zeh Liyis Melech, this desire to be the king is Ubechinas Mokoir, the Metzius Ishpashtus Midazu the Malchach. That is the source for the existence, the expansion Metzius later on. This is Machzach. The Hainu, which is the B'chinas Atzimtzum Ulitzamtzem Ulishavetzir. So in order that this creates that restriction and that symptom to obscure himself, in order to be creation of the Yesh V'Davar Nifra. We're not talking about really a Yesh V'Davar Nifra. There's no Nifra from Hashem. It's only in their mind, in the created being. Sheyi Davar Nifras be the Ose. In his, talking his meaning of the creation. Talking in the understanding, in the knowledge of the created. It appears through the Yesh and the Shu Yesh V'Davar Nifra. And this is all Kidei She'iyah Matzil Melech alone. So that the Eibster could be a king and a people, on a nation. So in order to do Melucha, there needs to be a Davar Nifra, there needs to be a Adam, there needs to be a creation. And that's why, that's the source of all the creation. But it's Tzimtzum Zayin, let's learn this Tzimtzum, this restriction is only towards us. But relative to Hashem, it's everything is like not considered anything, it's just like before the creation. There's really no actual separation in truth. Hashem did not change it. And Hashem is just like before the world was created. So the truth of the matter is there is really no change relative to Hashem. It's in our imagination, our understanding, but not real. Since there is the same before, so there's nothing besides Hashem. So the question is, Amihu Melech. So who is Hashem being a king over? Because we're saying that nothing really happened in truth. There's no real Am over there. There's no real nobody. There's nobody to be a king over technically because Legabe Hashem, nothing changed. So who is he again a king over? What is he being a king over? Over an imagination of the created being? Nakshalafi, Shemel Kolmakoy, Machmas, Bechinas Hatzimtzum, Nase, Bechinas Yesh, Vedovo Nifrod, Vidoisenu. Since because of this restriction of the oil, it becomes a Yesh Vedovo Nifrod in our knowledge, the way we see it, the way we know it. Even though relative to Hashem is like nothing. It's still, you can say a melucha on people. Why? In their mind, they're separate. So we can be a melech over those who have in their mind they think they're separate. And before this is before Hashem, there's takaloi choshev. We have to every year bring down the desire to be king. That is bringing down from that above mentioned level a king. This is the Malchus Rosh Hashanah. Mamer Azal, Imru Lefone Malchus Kidei Shatam L'chuni Aleichem. Say before the Malchus, in order to make me a king over you, that way you bring down, you wake up, you arouse the rotzin of I should be king, which is you bring it down on Rosh Hashanah. And Masha Isim Regnu Rosh Hashanah HaMelech HaKodesh. Melech HaKodesh. Melech Stam Ukol Hashanah. Just a regular Melech. That's all year round. The Hainu. This Malchusar Mishpashetes Ba'ilames. That's the Malchus that expands into the world. Meshakosu. Posik says Malchuscho. Malchus Kol Elamim. Your kingdom is the kingdom that rules all the worlds. Umalchus Bakol Mashallah, and your kingdom dominates everything. Avol Moker be the Samalucha, but the source of the measure of Lucha, the Hainu. Ginas Amshachas Machshavas Ana Emler, bringing down this thought of Ana Emler. Nikra, that is called Hamelech HaKodesh. That's called the Melech HaKodesh, not the regular Melech, not the Melech HaMispashet, but the Melech which is holy, that is separated. He is still separate and exalted from being able to expound in the world. And there is nothing besides Hashem. This Melech just went up in his desire to be a king. So this is the higher level of Aseres Yemei Tshuva, in which we're tapping into the Rotzen HaMalucha as opposed to the Spashtus HaMalucha, which is the Malchus Bakol Mashallah throughout the year. This is like the idea we say, Bereish Hurmanosa the Malka Chulu. In the beginning of the Rotzen, the king, was she calls B'rai Mehemne, Parshas Pinchas, Dafresh Mevov and Beis. Asar, it's a place, these Gazaras Metamon, you ain't soft, the place where you have been cut out from, you come from, which is Ein Sof. The Pirush, over there he explains the Aye Mikoyin Kvede Kulu, Ba'ayin Shom, B'rai Mehemne, Dafresh Mevov Beis Be'inyan, Har Ein Ninos Kvedachot. Kulu, Kameshikosu, V'mokim Achar, Al Posik V'ulam, Kai Oni, V'imolech Kved Hashem. Kulu, Koved, what is the Kved Hashem? Hainu B'chinas, machshavas ano emlech. That is ano emlech. Shu gam kein b'chinas levush. That's also levush. K'meshu kosa Hashem malach gayus lavish. So that also levush. So am shochas b'chinas machshava zu and bring in others machshava nimshach al derech moshul mikoyach hamachshava. That comes from the power. So where does this machshava no emlech that comes from the power of machshava? Al derech ze niske bezer pasha noyach taf samachei amdalef kama b'chinas shenikroim machshava iloch. There are many levels that are called machshava iloch. So basically, that's the levush, and that's the source of it to bring down the rotzid for the machshava. Like a person, we say, koyach hamachshava. The power of thought is not the thought itself. That is the source from where the thought comes from. Kvoide is a place of kvoide. Pirush. Mokoim Ritzoin Leimar. What does it mean Mekoim kvoide? So that means Mokor v'shoirish. Mekoim kvoide means the Mokor v'shoirish machshava. Ubchinas aye is Mekoim kvoide. You say, where is Mekoim kvoide? But aye, that is the place of kvoide, where the source of the machshava. Ubchinas aye, which is where, Ubchinas ein sof. Zehu shekosuv, that's what it says. Asar the isgazres mitamon di ein sof. The place, the Zohar that I quoted before, from the Raim Hemna, Asad is Gam Tamon di ein sof. V'hu b'chinas Mashomer Razal Achel Nivra Oilam Hoyahu Shmei Bilbad. So before the world was creation, it was Hashem and His name alone. Basically, so what does the name of Hashem mean there? This is the level of Aye is Mekoim Kvoide. And from there, you come to Li's B'chinas Ano Emlech. That is the thought, the machshava already of Ano Emlech. So B'chinas Melech HaKodesh, this is the level of Melech HaKodesh. Level, not Melech Stam, but Melech HaKodesh. Who the B'chinas Kedushosi, Shalamayla B'Kedushasam, come on, the Kedusha which is higher than Kedusha, saying later on, Ba'ayim HaShekol, Yerushalayim, Kol Doidi, Be'inyan Malchus Kol Malchus Kol Olam. Okay. So this comes from the higher level of Melech HaKodesh. Lochein Emri Melech HaKodesh B'chol Aseres Yimei Tshuva. Say Melech HaKodesh Aseres Yimei Tshuva. Ki B'chol Hayomim Mamshichim B'chol Yom Ha'atzmos Hamayit Tzil Rotzin L'Melucha. For every day we bring down, we extend from the essence of the Creator a desire for Melucha. So we say Melech HaKodesh because we're constantly getting Hashem to say, I want to be king. That's the Avodah. Why 10? Asora Yom Keneged Es Sfiras the Malchus corresponds to the 10 Sfiras of Malchus. Shabchol Yom Nimshal B'china Achas. Every day there's one level that comes down. Vashikosu B'Kriyat Chaim. Hinei B'chinas HaMelech HaKodesh U'B'chinas Kedushosi L'mayla M'Kedushascha. That's the level of Kedushosi which is higher than Kedushascha. That is Sham Shochazu This is Hamshocha that is higher than the Hamshocha that comes through mitzvahs. Still this time. Im hayois, although shaydei mitzvah mavshichim b'chinas koiden sha'el yem mamish. Even though that with the mitzvahs you bring down from the level of kodesh elyon. Here we're saying it's kedushosi l'mayla b'kedushas. Ach im kol zeh amru. That's what they still say. Kedoshim to you. That when we say you'll be kodesh, yochel kameni, we still say yochel kameni chulu. It's not going to Rusalema. Sheyesh eis Rusal de la Ela Shalamayla Misa Rusal Leila Sheyesh Rusal Tata. It is not like me. That's not the highest level of Rusal Leila. There is a Rusal Leila that is higher than this that comes Rusal Tata. So Rusal de la Ela that comes through Maisa mitzvahs. That's a Rusal Leila that comes through a Rusal de la Tata, the Maisa mitzvahs. But there is a higher level of Kedushos Ilamayla Mekdushaschem, the Hainu Shein is Arusu de Latato, the Maise Amitzus Magil Shom Klal. So that the Sarusu de Latato is Yochel Kamoni, you can't reach that level. There's a level which the Sarusu de Latato Maise cannot reach there at all. That is the Vayaver Hashem, that comes Milamayla. Or to the level of Tshuva. Ki'im Adei Tshuva in Mamaklu. We'll come on. Gam al Yidei Torah nimshal b'chinas Rusad Leila Zu. Through Torah, K'may Shekosu, we get this higher level of Chana. Mozei Yuvon, Mashin Isbor Mo Kamachar Pashas Breish Dur Maskes Van Reno. Shat Tshuva Nikra Refuah. That's a healing. Cheinat Torah. Because they're higher than the word called Ayin Shom. So basically, through Torah, through Tshuva, you get rich in the higher level than Ma'isa Mitzvahs. Mainly, this comes because Rus Leila on itself, which is higher than Rus Leila. Like we said before, the Pasik, Vayavar Hashem upon Vayikra. So shenikra kedushosi shalamayla mikedushasa. This is what we call the kedusha, which is higher than your kedusha, than the kedusha that you're mamshich through the mitzvahs. We'll bring this down. You correct all the blemishes that you blemished through the sins, intentional mistakes. So they reach these blemishes, reach till the level of the supreme kedusha. That's where they reach. When they get from this higher level of kedusha, which is all of the lackings have been fixed and filled. This is the level and the step of the Baal Tshuva, which are higher than complete tzaddikim. Complete tzaddikim, they level of kodesh. Kedoshim to you, become a mamshich level of kedusha. And that's why you'll say kodesh before them. But greater is the level of tshuva, which is bechela yatir, which is with more force. It brings down from the level from the level of kedusha higher than kedusha. So why we say Melech HaKodesh and all of us.